Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well today despite this global lockdown. So in today's lesson we're going to create a timer app, okay? So by doing this we'll practice creating more complex and dynamic UIs and how to use observable objects as view models, okay? So the timer app will look like this, okay? So let's get started by creating a new Xcode project, okay? Choosing single view app and calling it timer app, okay? So timer app, en, just like that, okay? And as you saw in the preview above, okay, so here, the app's UI should depend on whether the timer has not been started, is running, or is paused, okay? So we'll often refer to these three different scenarios, so it's useful to start by creating a suitable enum for this, okay? To do this, we're going to create a new Swift file, so press Command N, okay? And call it helper, just like that, okay? Inside this file, insert the following enum. So enum timer mode is equal to case 1 running, case 2 it's paused, and the last one is initial, okay? Cool. So for keeping track of the current timer mode, we declare a corresponding state property inside our content view to adapt the UI whenever the timer gets started, paused, or stopped, okay? So here you can write state var timer mode to be type of timer mode, okay, and equal to initial, just like that. So now we are ready to start composing our UI depending on the current timer mode, okay? So we start by wrapping the hello world text view into a vstack and then a navigation view. So first of all, embed in vstack, okay, and then we can call the navigation view navigation, like that, and put the vstack into it, okay? Cool. And append a navigation bar title to it, okay? So it's gonna be navigation bar title, okay? And the title will be simply timer or whatever you want, okay? So instead of hello world, the text view should display the remaining time. For now we use the temporary and static value of 60. So here you can change it by 60, okay? For representing that 60 seconds are left before the timer runs off, okay? We highlight the text view by increasing its size and append some top padding to it, okay? So first modifier is this one, okay? Then system size will be 80, okay? And the second modifier is about the padding, okay, which will be top and 80 as well, okay? Cool. So below our text view, we want to place a large play icon to start the timer. Apple provides us with a bunch of integrated icons we can use for creating our UI, okay? We can initialize such an icon by using an image view with the system argument, okay? Therefore, we write below our text view here image, this one, okay, system name is play circle dot fill, it's like that, okay, and give it some modifiers as well. So the first one is resizable, the second one will be aspect ratio with a content mode to fit, then a frame, obviously, so it's gonna be 180 by 180, we don't need the last parameter, and then the foreground color will be red, okay? We can press on resume and see what we get. Okay, however, the image view should only display the play icon when the timer is in its initial state, okay? So while the timer is running, we want to present a pause icon, okay? Therefore, we adapt the system name parameter like this. So here, first of all, we're going to write timer mode if it's equal to running, okay? Then we present pause.circle.fill, and if not, we then present play.circle.fill. Okay, cool. So now while the timer is running, the image view displays the pause icon of SF symbols, okay? Otherwise, it displays the play icon, okay? So when the timer is paused, we want to display a small rewind icon so that the user can reset the timer. To do this, we insert the following below our current image view. So here, if timer mode is equal to paused, okay, then image will be go backward, okay, go backward, this one, okay, with some modifiers. So the first one is aspect ratio with the content mode to fit, okay, the frame will be 50 by 50, and we can delete this one. And finally, the padding will be top and 40. Okay, just like that. Cool. So while the timer is in initial state, we want to provide the user with the possibility to set the desired timer length. For this purpose, we're going to use a picker. Okay. So here, it's a picker. Okay, picker object. Cool. To use a picker inside our timer app, we need to create a state property for keeping track of the current selection. So first of all, here you can write state var selected picker index is equal to 0. Okay, next we create the data set for our picker. In our case, it's an array holding the values 1 to 59 that represent the minutes. Okay, so insert this variable below our state value. So let available minutes to be equal to an array, okay, 1 to 59. Okay, so now we can create a picker. We want no labels, so just insert a text with an empty string and apply the labels hidden modifier to it. Okay, so here, if timer mode is equal to initial, okay, so now we can create a picker with binding it to the state. We want no labels, so just insert a text with an empty string and apply the labels hidden modifier to it. So picker, okay, this one, okay, so here it's selected picker index. Here it's gonna be an empty text, okay, and we don't need that. Okay, and here I can write labels hidden, just like that. Inside the picker, we implement a for each loop that cycles through every object of our available minutes. We use the loop's closure for creating one text object for every minute and assign it to an index. Okay, so here, for each from 0 to available minutes dot count, okay, and here text, it's like that, okay, and here we can write self dot available minutes just like that. Okay, so normally we are good to go. I'm going to press on resume. Okay, perfect. So the design is very nice, good looking. Okay, we can continue. If you want it in dark mode, we can use environment, this one, then color scheme, and here dark. Okay, I'm going to relaunch the simulator. Okay, perfect. So now we can continue. We're good to go. So SwiftUI then knows which index every object should have and updates the state depending on the current selection. Okay, finally we push everything to the top by using a spacer as the last view inside this VStack. So here you can add a spacer. Okay, press on resume. Perfect. So the result is very good. Okay, cool. So if you start a live preview here, you can scroll through the picker. We'll use this functionality later on the set the timer length. Okay, so here, as you can see, it works perfectly. So great, we're done with implementing the UI for our timer app. Let's get started with actually implementing the timer functionality. Okay, so for that purpose we are going to use the observable object. Okay, so let's create an observable object by creating a new Swift file. So Command N, Swift file, this one. Okay, and calling it timer manager. Okay, timer manager, just like that. Okay, make sure you import the SwiftUI framework first of all. So here, import SwiftUI framework. Next, insert a class called timer manager. Okay, as well, that adopts the observable object protocol. Okay, so here, observable object protocol. Cool. So our timer manager should keep track of whether the timer is running paused or in its initial state. Therefore, declare a variable called timer mode. Okay, so here var timer mode to be type of timer mode. Okay, with an initial value of initial. Simply. Okay, back to our content view. We need to make it observe the timer manager, so we have to initialize an observed object inside it. Okay, so here, observed object. Okay, var timer manager, okay, just like that. Okay, we want our contents view body to refer to the timers manager's timer mode property instead of the contents view state. Okay, so here you can add dot and before timer manager. Okay, and now we can simply copy paste this line to here and here. Okay, cool. So because we don't need it anymore, we can delete the content views timer mode state property. So here, this one, bye bye. Okay, next, our timer manager needs another property for keeping tracks of the remaining seconds. Okay, so here we can write var seconds left is equal to 60. Okay, just like that. So we want the text view in our content view to refer to that value instead of using the static one. So therefore we update it like this. So here, yep, you can write timer manager, okay, dot seconds left, just like that. Okay, cool. Now we are going to implement the timer. Okay, implementing a timer itself is really easy in Swift. We just need to add a timer instance to our timer manager. So here we can add var timer is equal to timer. Okay, just like that. Next, we add a function called start. Okay, to our class that actually triggers the timer will execute this function whenever the user taps on the play icon. Okay, when the function gets called, we want to change the timer mode to running. So here you can write func start, it's like that, and inside timer mode is equal to running. Okay, so next we tell our timer to decrease the seconds left every second until it hits 0. Okay, so here we can write timer is equal to timer dot scheduled timer with time interval. So the first value is 1.0, the repeat is true. Okay, and here you can simply write, so here you can write timer in. Okay, and now we can write if self dot seconds left is equal to 0, then self dot timer mode is equal to initial. Okay, self dot seconds left is equal to 60, and timer dot invalidate, obviously. Okay, and here self dot seconds left minus equal 1. Okay, so as said, we want this function to be called whenever we tap on the play icon. We can do this by wrapping the corresponding image view into a button, but there is an alternative. Okay, we can achieve the same functionality by simply adding a tap gesture to our image view that detects when the user touches the image view. Okay, so here you can simply write on tap just this one. Okay, here open curly brackets, and you can write self dot timer manager dot start. Okay, let's check if our timer works by running our app in live mode. Okay, here, and tapping on the play icon. Okay, so the time is not running down. Why that? Okay, so until now, changes in the seconds left property don't cause the observing content view to refresh. To tell SwiftUI that all observing views should get updated whenever the seconds left is decreasing, we have to use the published property wrapper. Okay, so here you have to write add published just like that. Okay, every time the seconds left gets updated, now the content view will be caused to rebuild itself, with eventually showing us the remaining time after tapping on the play icon. So at the same time, let's use the published property for the timer mode as well. Okay, so here, so that our content view gets back to its initial look when the seconds left are hitting 0. Okay, so now if we run our app again and tap on the play icon, our timer starts decreasing every second. Okay, so here, so when it hits 0, the UI gets back to its default look. So we already have a function for starting the timer, but we still need one for pausing it and resetting it. Okay, so therefore add these two functions to our timer manager class. So here, the first one will be func reset. It's like that. Self dot timer mode is equal to initial. Okay, then self dot seconds left is equal to 60, and finally timer dot invalidate. Okay, and then func pause self.timer mode is equal to paused, and timer dot invalidate. Okay, so you maybe noticed that the code inside the reset function is the same than the one we execute in our start function. So here there's 3 lines. Okay, to refactor our code, we simply call the reset function from our start function. So here we can delete the 3 lines and write self.reset. Okay, so in our content view now, we want to call the pause function whenever the user taps on the pause icon. Okay, to achieve this, we update our onTap gesture modifier. So here, this one as follows. Okay, so here you can write. So here rather, I'm going to add simply self.timer manager dot timer mode is equal to running. Okay, then self dot timer manager dot pause. Okay, otherwise this one. Okay, so if you prefer, we can even write it on the same line in order for you to well understand. Okay, so I think cool. So we call the reset function by appending the corresponding tab gesture to the image view that shows to the rewind symbol. Okay, so here you can write on tab gesture this one. Okay, open curly brackets, and you can write self dot timer manager dot reset. Okay, so great. If we run our app now, okay, we're able to pause and reset our timer. Okay, okay, so I press on the live button, and here, okay, and if I press on pause, okay, it pauses, and either I can reset or I can let it continue. Okay, perfect. So we are already able to start, pause, and stop our timer. However, we can set the timer length by using the picker yet. Okay, to store the chosen time persistently, we're going to use the user defaults. Okay, user defaults can be used to store small chunks of data such as the timer length setting. Okay, so for this purpose, we add a function called set timer length to our timer manager. Okay, so here can add it just right there. Func set timer length. Okay, with one parameter, minutes. Then we can access the user defaults like this. So here you can write let defaults is equal to user defaults dot standard. Okay, the structure of the user default is very similar to a dictionary. We can store pieces of data under a certain key and retrieve it again by using the specified key. Okay, so we call the set timer length function. We want to store the given minutes under a key we call timer length. Okay, finally we set the published seconds left property to this value when the function gets called. Okay, so here you can write defaults dot set. Okay, this one. Here the value will be minutes. Okay, and the key will be timer length. Okay, and then we can write seconds left is equal to minutes. So the seconds left property is still at 60. So when the timer manager gets initialized, okay, instead we want to retrieve the stored value from the specified timer length key. So here, first of all, you're going to change it by user defaults dot standard dot integer, okay, and here just like that. So we want to retrieve the timer length from the user defaults inside our reset function as well. So here you can write user defaults dot standard dot integer, and here timer length. Okay, cool. So we want to call to set the timer length whenever the user is starting the timer. Therefore, we call the set timer length function from the contents view play pause image view, but only when the timer mode is at initial. Okay, so for the minutes parameter, we use the selected minutes from our picker. So here we can write above, so here if self dot timer manager dot timer mode is equal to initial, okay, then self dot timer manager dot set timer length will be self dot available minutes self dot selected picker index multiply by 60. Okay, cool. So as you can see, if we run our app, now, we're able to set the desired timer length by using the picker. Okay, however, when selecting, for instance, 20, okay, 20 minutes, our app shows us the plain seconds, okay, left. Instead, we want to display a timestamp for better readability. Okay, to achieve this, just add this function to our helper file here. Here you can write func seconds to minutes and seconds. Okay, and inside you can write let minutes is equal to seconds, just like that. Okay, another group of parentheses, just like that. Okay, then write let seconds is equal to the same thing. Okay, we can copy paste, then let minute stamp is equal to minutes dot count. Okay, plus seconds. Okay, let second stamp is equal to seconds dot count. Sorry, here it's minutes, okay, and here it's seconds, and then return minute stamp second stamp, just like that. Okay, cool. So then in our content view, we can now use this function to convert the seconds left integer into a corresponding timestamp string. Okay, so here you can write seconds, minutes, and seconds. Okay, timer manager dot seconds. So if we start our timer now, we see that the seconds left gets converted into a time stamp string. So I'm going to launch the simulator and see if the result is as expected. Okay, for instance, okay, perfect. So that's it. We are finished with creating our timer app. We learned how to create more complex and dynamic interfaces with SwiftUI. We also explored observable objects and how we can use them as our views model. Okay, so additionally, we learned how we can use Swift timers and how to store small chunks of data persistently by using the user defaults. So that's it for now. Thank you for having watched this tutorial. I see you in the next lesson, guys. Bye-bye.